rolling. We're live. Welcome.
Yay! Yes.
So today, my guest, welcome. This is Does This Work, a comedy podcast, and my name is Jared. And my guest today is Jetro. Is Jetro Gainza? Gainza?
Yes.
I'm pronouncing that correctly. Fantastic.
Even better than myself.
Look, Jetro's been building a name for himself in comedy, both in English and in Spanish, as he created shows like Comedia en Española and Las Vueltas Televisa.
Exactamente.
Sí. Welcome, mi amigo, Jetro.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
No, thank you for accepting. It's great. So I don't know if you've watched the podcast before, but the first question, primero pregunta, ¿por qué comedia?
¿Continuamos en español?
No. Absolutamente no.
Everybody's gonna fuck's sake. Is my YouTube broken? What the fuck? This is stupid AI.
No. I would, but you'd hear me be saying one word at a time very slowly in Spanish.
That's
¿Por
me in
qué
English.
Español?
That's me when I started comedy in English, mate.
So why comedy?
Why comedy? I always wanted to be an actor, actually. Yeah, but I had never experienced. This was when I was like at high school, year 11, year 12, back in Chile. I'm from Chile, and I always wanted to be an actor. I had like a lot of interest and curiosity about drama, but I had like zero experience. So it was pretty much like saying, "Oh, I want to be a musician," and like, "Mate, you don't know how to play any instrument. Like, how on earth do you want to be on a rock band?
Yeah.
Like, look those sausage fingers. You cannot play the fucking guitar." And I was like, "Yeah, feels weird." Yeah, and I was good at math, so I was just like, "Okay, fuck it, let's study engineering."
Yeah.
I was good at school, but I always hated every second of engineering. I hated it. I studied electrical engineering, and when I was at uni, I was like, "No, fuck this, I'm gonna drop out." And started like doing, after uni, like in the evenings, I started doing like a whole year of drama lessons.
Yeah, cool.
At an institute, like a TAFE
Yeah.
of drama, I don't know. And I fucking hated it. It was so lame. All my like friends were like, "Oh, such drama queens," and like everybody's so like extrovert, like annoyingly extrovert. But I realized there that I was really good at making people laugh. I was horrible at like following the directions of the director or like making like, I don't know, making you cry.
Yeah.
But I was really good at making people laugh. And that's what I discovered. And that's where I pivot. And I started like, maybe I should do like just this. Be funny.
Yeah.
And it happened that at uni, we started like, this was a massive coincidence. At uni, we started like at lunchtime doing like telling jokes. We're sitting down on the grass and like while eating lunch, we will like start telling jokes, and the whole thing transitioned into like just me telling jokes at lunchtime, and everybody sitting around. I was like a bloody prophet preaching, and like
Jesus Gainza.
instead of like holding the Bible, I was holding like the Adam Bloom book. And just like words started spreading out at uni. Oh, there is this guy that every Wednesday is telling jokes outside, and that's when like, and a friend like signed me up for a talent show. For just like the most random stuff. And he said, "You are going for comedy, and you're gonna like tell jokes," and that's how I discovered comedy. And since then, I have never stopped.
Great. So then, how were you writing those first jokes, or was it just
at the beginning? Because like I feel like maybe 15 years ago, comedy, I don't know how it was in Australia, but in Latin America, it was like stand-up comedy didn't really exist. It was like a comedian telling jokes, like, "Oh, a priest goes into a bar," and like that kind of thing. And Chile started going into the transition, started doing stand-up, and I felt like these jokes are lame. Maybe I could just like tweak them and pretend that it's a story that happened to me. And I started like just adapting them to make them like a really compelling story.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just like made it very engaging, and that's how I realized like, fuck, this is a stand-up.
Yeah. And that's it. I think to engage with an audience means that they're hearing something that they're relating to or resonating with.
Yeah.
And I think if rather than like a priest walks into a bar, whatever, they're like expecting a punchline, or it's a tired old format. Whereas
Exactly.
you go and like, I went into a bar the other day and they're like, let's hear about it. I want to know about this story.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's great. And then that was in Chile, and then you moved here for...
About 7 years ago.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, thanks for pouring the water.
No worries.
Yeah,
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah.
Let's go again. Sorry. It is like that awkwardness when like,
It's that comedian every time yeah. So 7 years ago. That's great. Moved here 7 years ago.
yeah. By the way, it always happens to me with David Truffley.
Oh yeah.
And fuck, like it is every single time I see him. Like, because some comedians like say hello like this, some other times like shake hands, and they never know. So like, I think that maybe 7 times, I swear, I have like, he goes like this, and I go and I just punch his fingers, and we're like, I'm sorry, me too.
Yeah. So I think comedians just need to pick one handshake and be done with it. Let's all decide on fist bump or handshake, because like the amount of times I've done that as well. And then sometimes you'll get someone who just commits to that.
Yeah.
And then you go, I'm going to commit to that. And then you both just... So we just need to decide. PSA, all right? Comedians, can we decide on fist bumps or handshakes?
Yeah.
Because this awkward thing is doing my...
We should go for a wiggle in the beak.
Just tickle someone under their chin. Pinch their cheeks. Anything, something else. So how did you get into the comedy scene here? And what brought you here, sorry?
I always wanted to live abroad.
Oh, cool.
So, okay, fuck it. Let's tell the long story. It was a girl. It was a girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was dating a girl, and she wanted to learn English, and she always wanted to live in either New Zealand or Australia and do like the classic working holiday thing. And I was like, that sucks. But I ended up coming with her. I mean, so I applied for a special visa. My degree as an engineer was valid here. So I applied for this special skilled visa, which took way longer than a classic working holiday. And while I was like doing the paperwork, we broke up. She never applied. And I was like, okay, I got this visa granted. And I was just like coming to follow her. And I was like, okay, may as well use it. So I came here. My plan was always to just come, just stay a couple years, surf, like just fuck around. And always, I swear, my plan was to, after 2 years, to go back to Chile.
Yeah.
And COVID hit, and then I met who is nowadays my wife, and I am citizen, and I am like so blessed over here. I think that this is my new home.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Have you been back since?
Yeah, a couple times. The last 2 times I went with my wife, and she had a proper introduction of the Latin American culture.
Oh, man, I'm jealous because, you know, the grass is always greener kind of thing, right? So, like, I've always wanted to go there. Stay there for as long as possible, and I've always felt like Perth is beautiful and stuff, and it's so weird to talk about wanting to escape from it because it's like it's cool. Like the weather's amazing right now, everyone's flocking to the beaches, and it's like you got nice restaurants, you can go camping, you can stay in resorts, like there's and everything in between. You can do road trips down south, up north, but like so it's gorgeous, but. I've lived here for 40 years, you know. So I'm like, I would love to live in Chile or live in America, you know. So it's funny. It's funny thinking that someone else has the opposite thing. Like you could just swap with someone.
Yeah, it's crazy when you see people from Spain, like those amazing, like Barcelona. And they're like trying to live here. It's like, dude, like doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
like,
I would live there. I mean, like. The food, the culture, the music over there. It's
why
like,
are you here?
Why are you coming here? Like, I feel like we appropriate a lot of things. Like, I mean, there's a bunch of Spanish restaurants here, right? Mexican themed restaurants and whatnot, but they're every time I go to one, I feel like I'm not eating. It's not. Have you found any authentic Spanish places here?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Guzman y Gomez, but not.
Guzman y Gomez. Yeah. Because there was some empanada places I saw. I found a couple of birria tacos.
Yes,
My favorite.
Montloli, I think.
Yes, and they were great because in LA we went to LA and there was a place called Teddy's Red Tacos there. That was my favorite.
Nice.
And then in New York there's the Los Tacos #1, I think. But they didn't. The stuff that I've had, you're like, let's go to a Mexican restaurant. And I'm like, it tastes like it came out of a packet.
Yeah. No, but I feel that if you look properly and if you have, the people that they can recommend you, there is the stuff. Of course, that is not 100% authentic. Like, especially the prices. Mexican food, you get a taco in the street for $2 and over here is $20. It's like outrageous. But yeah, I feel that in Australia, as opposed to like, I don't know, being in Latin America, Australia maybe doesn't have like a really strong culture, but the culture is that there's multiple cultures.
Yeah.
So one day you can be Latino, then you can like really dive into the Asian, or like whichever you choose, and that's also my thing. Yeah,
and there's it's true. That's true. That's how I would perfectly describe Australia. It's like it's a mixture, a melting pot of different cultures. We don't really. If you look at like Aussie culture, you immediately think footy. Thongs, footy shorts, bogans. You know what I mean? So it's like, but there's no music, there's no food, there's no. It's everything that we like is popular in other countries.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so and I'm a big fan of. I'll cook my own stuff. I don't like if I want to recreate birria tacos or even like authentic like Italian pizzas or whatever. I'll find recipes that are like authentic, like whereas an old Italian man teaching you how to make a pizza, and I follow his recipe exactly. Yeah, he's like, this is what we sell in Italia, and so I know that it's like as authentic as I can make it. You know, so I go when I'm making the birria tacos, I go and find the big dried out red chilies and blend them and everything. Like,
and you can find it in the supermarket. Like, that's shocking. When we went with my wife back to Chile the first time, she wanted to make, let's say, pad thai. It was impossible.
I made pad thai last night.
Oh, yeah? How was it?
Amazing. It was restaurant quality.
We'll see that later. I'll be judging on that.
I'll make you some up. I'll heat you some up. But
but it happened to us that we were trying to find here, at least in the supermarket, even like the Coles or Woolies, you can get the ingredients to prepare Asian dishes, and like there in Chile it was impossible to find like the most basic stuff, noodles, like you couldn't find them because it's very deep, but just one culture. So,
I suppose that's right. I mean, but it'd be cool to be immersed in that for a while, even on a working holiday or something, a couple of years, and just being immersed in that.
That for my wife, it was amazing. Because she was like, oh my God, like, as you said, the grass is greener on the other side. It was like, there is like such a rich culture and history and background here, and people so proud of like their 200-old year or 400-old heritage.
Oh no, it's true, and it's beautiful culture. I remember we were in LA in 2023 in Los Angeles, and we were doing some tour, and then we got not lost, but we got sort of sidetracked and we missed our bus kind of thing. And then we turned this corner and there's like a weekend like festival, a Mexican festival. And all of a sudden there's just like, it felt like we were in Mexico. It's close close there anyway. But there was like a full Mexican festival on like a Sunday sort of thing. Food trucks, music, like face painting, and there's like it was amazing. I felt like I was transported to another world. And then I just feel like such a snob because then I come back here and I'm like, ugh. Let's go to Bunnings on Saturday night.
Again, sausage sizzle for lunch.
So it's fine. I'm sort of constantly living to like holiday back there. So if you could import one thing from Chilean culture back in Australia, what would it be then? If you could bring something from your home culture here that you feel like you're missing here, what would it be?
Oh, my family. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, your wife and kids over there.
One-way ticket for them.
They're going to be really surprised to know what you've been up to.
I guess that the music,
Yeah.
we have a really amazing, fun music. And now I feel that since the borders open, there has been like a slow but steady process of like more Chilean people are coming to Western Australia, and we're doing like more Latin Chilean based parties, and there's like more bands playing like our type of music. Because when you think of Latin America, you think of always like Colombia or Brazil or maybe Argentina.
Yeah.
My country is not very known. And now, I feel like our music is quite unique. The food is very similar all over Latin America. The empanadas, different versions, but same stuff. But the music is like, very unique. And,
cool.
And really, really fun to dance.
Yeah.
And but thankfully it's happening. It's coming.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I Sri Lankan, but I get constantly mistaken for South American. And people are like, you're Chilean, right? I'm like, no. Are you Mexican? Egyptian? Sri Lankan. And they're like,
you were born in Sri Lanka?
No, born here, but both my parents are Sri Lankan.
Okay.
But I don't look like a typical Sri Lankan, however they look. But both my parents are both full-blood Sri Lankans.
Yeah.
But they are very light-skinned as well.
Yeah.
But I did this because I do acting. So I played a Spanish character. And the person in charge who I worked with, who's a A-list celebrity, was like, when at the end of our like 3-month sort of production that we did, we were sort of recapping and talking about the production, and he was like, your audition was great. He goes, your Spanish accent was shit. And I was like, oh. And because there was a guy who came in before me who was Spanish, could speak Spanish, but he had the perfect Spanish accent. You know, he even had the same name as the character, and he was like, "Maybe I deserve to get it more than you, then." And I was like,
"What?"
Yeah, exactly. And then anyway, I got it, so fuck you. But like this guy, the celebrity, was like, that guy was a dick, and he goes, "But you can teach an accent, like the comedic timing and stuff and everything that you were doing with the character, that guy couldn't do." So that was a positive thing. And then I thought, if I can pass for South American, I may as well learn the language. So I started learning Spanish with audiobooks.
Yeah.
And there's 5 sections, right? Each section has 30 lessons. Each lesson is 40 minutes. So I did one block, I did all the way up to number 5, and that's by the end of that they say that you're fluent. And then I stopped. And now it's all unwinding in my head. It's all I'm losing words all the time now. So
not so fluent anymore.
Yeah, not so fluent anymore. Back to the beginning.
In 7 words, I'm fucking fluent, but ¿Dónde está la biblioteca, bitch? Like anything else?
¿Esta allí o está aquí? Las biblioteca es mi favorita lugar. So I'm gonna start again though, and I'll learn the language again. I'll start from lesson 1 again, even though I know enough, like suficiente hablar con alguien de España. So this is how slow I have to talk. How did Bruno do?
He did great.
Yeah.
So for context, Bruno, he did last week I did a Spanish show for our National Independence Day. I did a 2-hour show, and Bruno did a 10-minute spot.
Yeah.
And he really killed.
Nailed it?
Yeah, he nailed it.
And Xavier as well.
Xavier couldn't do it.
Oh, yeah.
He had like some health issues, so he couldn't do it. But Bruno did a 10-minute set. That was crazy.
La próxima vez.
Sí, por favor. Sí. La biblioteca.
All my jokes are about libraries.
Doing like trying to do crowd work, like trying to find somebody that works as a librarian. Mierda. No.
As long as they like libraries, as long as they know where the bathroom is. ¿Dónde está el baño? ¿Y tú? ¿Dónde está el baño? But I knew enough. When I went to America, I was speaking enough that they understood me, and they were like. But then they'd go on like they'd really, because I knew enough that I was like, and the accent was well enough that I think they thought I knew a lot more than I did.
Yeah.
So when they were like, see, and I was like, no.
I've never made it this far.
See, you just slow. But it's funny because when you're learning, and tell me if it's the same with English, right? But when you're learning it and you're at home and you're practicing and you're like, I'm the best. I'm the best at this language. Yeah. And then you meet someone else and you get to practice that language out, your second language, and they are just talking rapidly. And you're like, no, I'm not as good as I thought I was. But you're great. Like,
thank you.
Yeah.
At Spanish.
Well, did you learn Spanish as a kid? I mean, sorry, English as a kid?
Yeah,
I
cool.
did.
Yeah.
So it's not like you moved here 7 years ago and then you had to learn English from scratch. You had some.
Yeah, I had a base. I had a base of English, so I learned English at school, but definitely it was not the level that I had nowadays. Right, yeah. My English was like, I could listen and I could like read, mostly read. Yeah. But I was like not. I was like you when you tried to speak Spanish by then, 7 years ago. Yeah. So I thought I knew, and this happens to everyone. All of us, we come here, we think we knew, and also because we learned like the American English. Because of all the influence of the movies, and we come here and we're like, and what mierda, ¿qué? That's and even up to this day, like
idioma,
even up to this day, it happens to me that like people talk to me random stuff, and I say, haha, yes, and shit, like the question was not a yes/no answer. Like.
So when you watch someone like Andrew Wolf. So are you struggling to keep up? Because he's not only very Aussie, he's very fast paced.
Super.
So like, are you struggling or do you just not?
It took me 3 years to understand his routine. I was like able to understand maybe like a whole year took me to understand the first 2 minutes. Yeah. And whenever it came a new beat, I was like, no, here we go again.
Well, that's because, but it's hard though, because when I'm like, if I've heard your set in Spanish, right? And then I've gotten that word or a phrase, and while I'm trying to translate that phrase, you said 20 other things. Yeah. So it's like now I'm just behind. You know, he's saying something about bicicletas. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
it does happen. But no, I'm getting better. I'm getting better nowadays.
You're fantastic.
Thank you. But it was a struggle, and actually, like, check this out. Going back to like, I think you asked the question how I ended up doing comedy in English. I always I was doing comedy back in Chile. I was like open micer, like sometimes bombing, sometimes killing, like going through that like roller coaster and like figuring out how this thing works. Then came to Australia and I stopped, full stop. And for maybe 2 years, and I was all the time thinking, I really want to do comedy, but the language barrier, it's like such an issue for me. Back then, even a normal conversation, I couldn't have it properly. And one day, before COVID, when you could share Ubers, like back then, 2019, the Uber pool, one day I share an Uber with Andrew Wolf.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, just randomly.
Yeah. I was in Northbridge, and I was like after a party, and I was heading back home, and Andrew Wolfie was sitting on the driver's seat. No, I'm kidding. Comedy was not going good for him. He was on the passenger seat, and I was with a friend at the back. Yeah. And he started rapping and doing crowd work inside the Uber. And he was what do you guys do for work? And we do this for work, yabba dabba. What about you? And he started like making jokes about our lame engineering jobs. And it was hilarious. And I was like, oh, wow, like a bit edgy, like this guy, like taking the piss on us, but like maybe this is Australian culture. And what about you? What do you do for work? I'm a comedian, he says. And like, now I understand why you're taking the piss on us, but like still really funny. Oh my God, back in Chile, I wanted to be a comedian and I was an open micer. And over here, I've been like really frightened to do it. And he was like, nah, dude. Nah. Like he's imagine like he turning around. Nah, you just do it. Like the way he is. Nah, you should do it.
That's a spot on impression.
Yeah, thank you. They say that we look alike, like
you and
with the curly hair and like the shirts.
Yeah.
He said like you should definitely do it.
Yeah.
Like you not being able to speak proper English will give you an advantage. You might think that it's a disadvantage, but it would give like a complete new point of view.
Yeah.
Like all comedians are Australians. And it would be something fresh, like that you're like an immigrant that barely speaks English, that you should definitely give it a shot.
Yeah.
And a few months after that, I was like, this conversation was like, well, COVID hit, so I didn't do any shit, but all the time for a whole year, I was like, oh yeah, I really want to be a comedian. And when COVID like passed, I started like going to comedy shows. I went to the experimental, and then I started, and I was like looking like the classical hustle of the beginner, and I just like signed up for the comedy lounge, the gong show. And my first gong show I passed.
Me too.
Yay! The second one,
me too.
Yeah. That's like the beginners, like they're like people are like, oh, sweetheart, like, and they're just like soft spot. Yeah. And that's how it started.
Yeah.
It was Andrew Wolfe who encouraged me to do comedy.
And he, like Andrew Wolfe, if there's one person that's going to blow up from Perth, it'll be him.
Yeah.
Because I think he's in America now, in Austin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I saw on his stories, and I knew he was leaving. He's going to come and do this when he gets back. Yeah. Hopefully he's not too big, because we'll get him on. But yeah, that's cool. So then when you do and then you meet Xavier and stuff, and then all the solo shows come into place. You open micing and blah blah blah, and then the solo show comes into place. It must be a relief, or like kind of like almost like a relaxing sort of thing, being able to do a full show in Spanish.
Yeah.
And just being able to just go, this is my voice now, this is how I sound. And
exactly.
Go, and not have to translate in your head, or making sure it's the right word.
Yeah.
Do you have to translate like much now, or is it
all? No, not anymore. Nowadays, I feel that I am 100% bilingual. Maybe I don't have like the same broad vocabulary in English than in Spanish, but I'm not translating in my head. I am just thinking in English.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
I want to be able to get to that level in Spanish, but at the moment it's too slow. But there was times when I was nearly fluent, and this is going back about a year ago, when I was really doing lessons, like 2 lessons a day, driving to work and back, and I was just doing lessons all the time, and I was speaking to myself. And there was times when I was like, I'm doing the lessons, but I'm following what they're saying. And then I'm like, I start thinking about phrases that I'm putting together. I wonder if I can take a sentence myself and put it together, and I started doing that. I'm like, oh my God, I know a lot more than I think I do.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you take your foot off the accelerator, as soon as you stop practicing, then all those words start just slipping out, and like all the phrases and all the rules and stuff.
Exactly.
Start slipping out of your mind.
Yeah, even to me, sometimes it happens. I call them like language cul-de-sac. I feel because sometimes I'm speaking in English, and maybe I am midway through a sentence, and there's like one word that I wanted to say, and I am like, fuck, I don't know what is that word in English. Yeah. And I'm like, and I do a little pause, and like I'm like trying to look for a synonym, and I just like jump into that synonym and continue. But sometimes it is like, I just like don't know how like to finish this sentence. I freak out, and then I am like, okay, it's just like it's like a cul-de-sac, and I have like to reverse and say like I just brain fart.
But do you feel like audiences are with you most of the time when you do English sets? Like they're following everything you're saying, and that they're but in English I have to rehearse a lot. Nowadays not really, but maybe for a couple years I had like to every time, even though I was doing the same material over and over. No, I take it back. Even up to this day, I have like a 15 very solid set. I still need to rehearse it before doing the show, because I need like to remember
like the words,
Yeah.
the combination, how's the sequence.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I am like, I do a punchline and I'm like downloading the next beat, and like it feels like awkward, me quiet on the stage.
Yeah.
So in order to give it like that, like flow, yes, I do need to rehearse.
Yeah, and then so a lot of the material. Is that purpose built, like intentionally written to relate to Australian audiences? Your bin day bit, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the stuff that you're writing. Is it to sort of show your perception of Australian culture?
I think so. I think that I feel like I try like to do all my comedy. I feel like has really worked out for me. And this has been the process of figuring shit out, of making relatable material. Like that, my jokes need to be relatable. And even you can get away with the punchline not being necessarily that funny, but if it's super relatable, it's like, oh, fuck yeah, that happened to me. So what I try to do is like from the point of view of an immigrant, specifically of a Latino, like taking the piece on Australian culture.
And they respond well.
And I feel that they respond well.
Because I'm looking at sort of incorporating the same thing, right? Even though I was born here, I want to relate to more of the section of the audience that were like born here but raised by immigrants, right? So because in that sense, like we sort of grew up in two different worlds. So like in my house, it was like a Sri Lankan household. But then I go and hang out with Aussie kids, so I have sort of a Sri Lankan accent as a kid. And when I'm going to school, they're like, oh, I love your accent. And I'm like, what accent? I don't have an accent. So I want to, and then that way I can sort of remove myself a little bit as an Australian and then give my point of view. You know what I mean? Like growing up in an immigrant household, this is how I saw Australia. Whereas like I feel like as an immigrant coming here, you can just do that. You know what I mean? Whereas like especially good with an accent, like there's other people that have accents that just do really well, like Ian Burke, Ian Pringle. Those guys come out, Jill, and they come out like Jill go, "What's up? I'm Scottish," you know. And then immediately the audience is like, "Fuck yeah!" And then she says, and then those guys will either they'll just tell their own stories from being in Ireland, from being in Scotland, whatever. And then that's engaging. The audience wants to know about their experiences somewhere else. But if it's an Aussie, like that's why people like Andrew Wolf are great, because it's harder, I feel like, for Australians to rise to the top. Because there's so many of us here doing comedy. Right? There's so many guys doing the Aussie bogan larrikin thing. Hey, you guys going? Yeah, you all right? Yeah, anyone on drugs here? And they're doing that. And I don't really have that vibe. I'm kind of just a bit down the middle. And my goal is to try and be a bit more risky and try and take more risks and stand out a little bit more, because right now I'm playing it too safe.
But I feel that there's such a large audience for that. I like for example, you, Bruno, Shash. I don't know if you know him. That now he's in Sydney. There's so many comedians that are like maybe either first generation or like parents that came here and they were born here. No, Shash, he came from India. But there's like so many, and I feel that like my wife, for example, she's Australian, but both parents are from England. I feel especially Western Australia like does have a lot of people that is like your case, and that they feel like, am I like have this heritage, but at the same time I'm also Australian. Where do I belong? This like dilemma. I definitely feel that there is like a huge audience for that.
That's good.
And it happens that like it's the process of finding your voice. That when you go to the open mic, you have like such a random audience. And it's that process of like finding like, you know what, like to finding your niche and like and finding your audience. It takes time, but I think that it's more rewarding than just like doing the open mic where you have like randomness and then you're like, oh, why this joke worked this time but the other time it didn't work. It's because a component of is the audience that didn't feel it was relatable.
And that's what I want. I want to make sure that I'm using the open mics to my advantage, like, and not just getting up and doing the same shit every week. Not that there's a problem with that. You're fine tuning, you know what I mean? You have to fine tune, but I'm guilty of it. I can't speak for anyone else, but I'm guilty of it where I've gone, oh, I've got an open mic tonight. And then I go. And then I'll say this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing changed, nothing new. It's just stage time,
Mm-hmm.
which again is fine. You're just building stage confidence and stage presence. But I if I'm not working at finding my voice or at least solidifying who I am on stage to the crowd, then I feel like I'm not wasting time, but I'm not using the time well appropriately.
Yeah, I understand that point of view, but at the same time, I've learned that not necessarily you have like all the time to come up with new jokes or like with the perfect joke.
Yeah.
I feel that I have been doing a joke of the Tim Tam, for example.
Yeah.
That is one of my best jokes, or the beans. Like I've been doing that joke for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And I feel that it's just like the way I say it, that I just like the essence of the joke remains the same.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this joke, but this time I'm going to try this tone of voice in this bit. I'm going to try, I don't know, this tempo.
Yeah.
I'm going to try like variations and just like polishing here and then.
Yeah.
And I feel that like that is also super valuable. Not necessarily has to be writing new jokes or finding the persona. It's just like polishing what I already have to make it like hyper solid.
Yeah. So that it works everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that as well, where you take, it's changing the inflection, changing the enunciation, changing a word order here and there.
Yeah.
You know,
the accent. I have tried with the accent as well. Yeah.
Do you do an Australian accent?
Yeah, but I cannot keep it consistent.
Oh, okay, yeah. But it's enough that they laugh at it, like when you go, "How you going, guys?" Yeah. That's funny. That's because I've done a couple accents on stage. I've done like my dad's Sri Lankan accent, and then an Indian accent. I do an Indian a joke about India and Sri Lanka, and I say, "Oh, I have an Indian friend who hates that joke," and then I do an impression of him, and that does really well. So then I thought maybe I'll incorporate accents. You know, I'm all right with impressions and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's just really, it's a matter of, I believe, I agree with what you're saying as well. It's just you're honing what you've already got. You don't need to be piling on jokes just for the sake of it. Like they need to be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then so what does a writing session look like for you now? Or do you write much, or do things come to you, jot them down?
To be honest, I feel that my case is quite particular because I do comedy in English and Spanish, and lately I have like already sort of like a business, like we would say, in Spanish. Yeah. I'm doing my solo show, so in the last 12 months, I have given definitely priority to the Spanish stuff. So I'm like all the time writing, and my sessions would be like someone says something funny or I see something and I just like write it down, like the punchline or otherwise like a premise, and I write it down and then I revisit it. Sometimes like, I don't know, wake up. Yeah. I'm in the computer and I revisit like, okay, what can we do? Yeah. Here are like two stuff and I write stuff. And nowadays what I'm doing is that I like test them in Spanish, where I know that my audience will laugh. It's an easy laugh because they relate to me. And I realize, okay, here is something. And then I will translate it to English and test if it works in English as well. And sometimes it doesn't because you cannot really translate it, or sometimes, you need like to tweak it around. And it does work, so I just like make it Australian friendly, and that's how it works. But that's how I've been doing it lately.
Oh, that's great.
Write something in Spanish and then translate it to English.
So is there a direction that it translates to that it does in the opposite way? So for example, if you write something in English, does it do well in Spanish? Like if you write a joke for an Australian audience, does it do well? Like the beans joke, does that do well in Spanish?
The beans, it started as a Spanish joke.
Oh, right.
Because I feel that when I'm in Spanish, I am like what you were saying, like, okay, what's like my biggest struggle? What's like where I suffer? Me as an immigrant, let's say. You as like not finding like this dual nationality. Where am I standing? So when I'm like with that lens of me, the immigrant is struggling here, and I'm like, you know what? The beans, such a thing that like I've just don't have any clue which weeks you take out the red bean or the yellow or the green. And I wrote that one in Spanish. It was a success, and then I did it in English, and it was also a success. And I forgot your question.
No, that's what it was. It was, is there a joke that you write in Spanish or in English that does well in either language?
Yes. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel that because of like the cultural difference, not all the jokes work out being translated. Yeah. So I feel that like you have like the universe and like the intersection is very small. So
what is your favorite thing about Aussie culture compared to then? Obviously, we missed the family, we missed the music and the food, but like, what over here are you like? Oh, I like this. You know, is there anything about Aussie culture? I like surfing, beaches.
I like that Australian culture is very no worries, mate.
Yeah.
That I love it so much over here. That nobody's uptight.
Yeah.
Everybody's super laid back, chill, especially in Western Australia, and I love that very much. Everybody's so relaxed. Says, give it a go, have a crack.
Why not? What's the worst?
Why not? Yeah, exactly. And like me finding a job as well, it was like, like you don't have the experience, but like, give it a go.
That's great.
So that's what I like.
And then, so as we wrap up, I think we're nearly out of time. As we wrap up, so then what's next? Are we going to take the show on the road? Are we going to film it? Do like a Netflix deal? All the Spanish whole thing?
Yeah. My Spanish show, I really, really want to go on tour around Australia and do this Spanish show that so far has been a success. Every time I do it, it's like 100 people, 120
awesome.
people.
Yeah.
And I swear that I try to do a 1 hour show.
Yeah.
Sounds crazy. Like I was like all the time doing like 10 minutes, 15 minutes looked like, oh my God, that's an eternity up on stage. And now, boom, 2 hours of comedy.
Yeah.
I'm doing 2 blocks of 50 minutes each. And it's just that I have so much to say.
Yeah.
And I have the footage, and it's like every 20 to 30 seconds there is a punchline. So anyway, that one is going really good. I want to go on tour doing the Spanish stuff, and in between maybe do English stuff in open mics, wherever I could go.
Yeah. So with the tour then, I don't even know how that works. Do you find an agent, book the whole thing, and a tour manager or something?
I've been doing everything myself so far.
Find a couple of openers to come on tour with. Because I could easily get back to fluent again.
My Duolingo crew, give it up.
I quit Duolingo now. It's all audio lessons. The only problem with Duolingo I find is that because it's all written down, and then it's all, and even when it's spoken, it's like very robotic.
Yeah.
So like when I'm listening to the audio lessons, and there's like an American guy, the American guy who's the host, and he's like, you're hanging out with your friend Marco. Marco wants to know where the library is. Ask Marco where's the library. And you go, ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? And then someone will say, ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? And then it'll slow it down. ¿Dónde está? And then by the end of the 500th lesson, you're like, it's fluent, it's natural, it sounds great. I did have one when I was really good. I had a friend who, not really a friend, but I was playing music at an Italian bar. Yeah. And there was a Spanish guy there who was making pizza, and I would be chatting to him in pretty decent conversational speed. It wasn't so slow. And he would ask me questions like, how many gigs do you do per week? And, I'm answering him all in Spanish. And he looks at me and he's like, why is your accent so good? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, your accent is like, he was like, is spot on or something. And I was like, it's probably because I'm imitating the audio person, I'm imitating them. I'm not reading it off a Duolingo thing. So that was when I was good. I need to get back to that. So, all right. So maybe you'll go on the road. We'll take it on the road. But it's cool, man. It's selling out. I guess that goes to show you that there's a huge audience. Yeah. And a loyal audience as well.
Yeah. This is crazy. I did a show in end of July in Fremantle. And then last week I did another show, and there was I would say that maybe 20% of the people went again to the show.
Yeah, great.
It was a different show. At the end, I ended up doing some of the like my best jokes that I had on the previous show. I did them again. And they were like, yeah, we just like enjoyed it again.
Yeah.
Like having people that is returning to see you again, that was like really, oh my God, like really rewarding. So it's awesome. So yeah, I feel like my biggest recommendation is like to find your voice and find the people who want to listen to your jokes.
Yeah, that's it. And then they'll come and listen to them again.
Yeah.
Because it's easy for us as comedy fans to find our favorite comedians, and we can easily listen to their jokes again and again. So it's not hard to believe that someone's going to come and see you again and hear. It's like we're going to your favorite band and watching them play their songs. You know, it's the same thing. But thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. We'll have you on again. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
We'll do a group one. You, me, Bruno.
Yeah, we do it in Spanish.
All in Spanish.
With a disclaimer at the beginning.
We'll do it. We can do it all in Spanish. It'll just be very. Me and Bruno will be looking at each other.
I'm gonna be eye rolling like, oh fuck! I have to speak so slow. Oh my God.
Oh, tanto despacio. Yeah. Don't even know if that was right or not. But thank you again.
Thank you for
Jetro
inviting me.
Gainza. See you next week, everyone. Thank you very much.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.